I'm glad to see so many people. I was thinking maybe 2 would show up because I've also got this in hard copy. A few. It's probably enough for anybody that's in here. But I was thinking, wow, I'm grateful that I'm given the opportunity to talk about the subject. Many of you think this is probably too mundane, but it is an alternative to PowerPoints. How many of you have fallen asleep in PowerPoints? Got a few admissions there. I'm probably the most guilty of all. And what I did, well, I've pulled up a current course that I'm teaching, and I try to make this thing as friendly as possible for students. This is a face-to-face class, but I dressed it up a little bit. This is a little testimony here, the Whirlpool Galaxy. But in class, I'll pull this up, and I tell the students, resources are in here. Go to these resources. I tell them, I point to them where they're supposed to go to find them. I'm having a little trouble scrolling. Let's see here. Maybe I can just make it pop down. There we go. And so I provide resources within the Blackboard. And some of those relate to what our topic is. For instance, Excel spreadsheets and videos. I do Panopto. How many of you done Panopto videos? 1 or 2? Yeah. I do those, and here's the link for an introductory and various things. And then I have some videos. I talked about the Madoff Ponzi scheme because this is a finance course. I teach business and finance. So it's relevant on the ethics side. In our first week, of course, we did that. But this is where I put the PowerPoints. I don't open them up in the classroom. And that's just a point I'm trying to make is it's available to you if you want to look at the PowerPoints as a good outline for your textbook, what you're going to be teaching. But I don't teach from it. What I do is I fill up the whiteboard completely with everything I'm going to say or talk about, every topic. And they get their cameras out or their phones. And they do. All the students do this, not without hardly any exceptions. They go up there at the end of class and they'll photograph before I erase the board. And that's my equivalent of using PowerPoint is talking points without having to mesmerize them staring at the screen. But I bounce back and forth. I bounce around as you see me bouncing around now, doing things. So here's more resources. And so I've more videos, more various things, like here's a website where you pull up about the Sarbanes-Oxley Act for business. And so it goes on and on. And then I do a table on time value of money. And so I open this up. Let's see if it lets me open it up. There you go. No, it won't. But so I'd have to copy the link, which is fine. In fact, I'll do that right now. I'll copy the link. Hope you don't mind me getting a crick in my neck as I turn around like this to do this, but let's see how this works. Good, that's going to work. Okay. So we'll jump up and we'll minimize that. And this is one of the things that you're actually kind of semi-interactive. And just drop it in there. And there it is. It's future value interest table, present value interest table. And I do a comparison because I have a reciprocal relationship. They pull up their laptops, they pull out their calculators, and they start working from what I tell them. And I'll give an example. If we're going to compound it, we'll use this table. At 5% interest, let's say 6% interest at 5 years, so they're not the same. And so it's this figure. Well, you go down here, and let's say we want to discount it, come backward in time, 6% interest, 5 years, and it's here. And those two numbers, this 0.747 and this one, are reciprocals of each other. And it just shows the relationship. And they know how to use a table. It's like a fourth solution. They have 3 solutions in the textbook, and I have this as an additional one, no longer provided by the textbook. It used to be they give you a hard copy of it. So one example. Now, if you're teaching tech courses and things, it'll be another, of course, thing that you can use. But I talk about Excel, so let's just pull up one. This is a simple version, and it's very simple. It's I've got this one highlighted, and it's finding the rate. So I find the rate based on these dividends from 2008 through 2012. I want to find the rate first, and then I want to find what dividend G is and plug it in. It's a growth rate, so it's very simple. But how many of you use this FX tab right up here? Okay. Well, it can be used in many subjects. It can be used in math, engineering. I use it in finance, economics, accounting. It has a lot of uses. It pulls up a dialog box, and this shows function arguments. But let's say that, and I'll get into that in a minute, but just to get to it, let's get it and go into a blank cell and hit the FX tab up there. Okay, so it says insert function. And so here are your choices. You click here on the drop-down box, and you've got financial. If you go down far enough, you've got statistical, you've got math and trig, engineering. And the engineering has things like that you can use in math, for instance, complex numbers or that sort of thing. So it's pretty useful. But I'll go to financial and show you how I got there with that growth rate. Financial, I'm going down to rate. So I'll just go down to rate. Looks like I'm sorry with this. I'm not used to this one compared to what I have in my classroom, so it's a little slower. I might be able to key in R to get to it. Yes, I did. How about that? So there's rate. You go into it, and there your dialogue, your information. So number of periods, you type it in, payment and stuff. Rather than doing it, I've already got it done over here, so it shows it when I hit this. Oh, rats. Here, try it again. There we go. And it shows, the number of periods is 4 years. It's not an annuity, so there's no payments. The first dividend isn't considered in present value. That's so it's $1. And then, of course, the future value, the last dividend is the $1.31. And then, so from there, it gives you it spits out the answer, which is 0.0698. And as you can see in the cell, it comes to 6.98%. So very simple. There's infinite variety. I just show the one sample. And then I show the class something a little more ambitious. This is artistic. I don't remember. I did this 4 years ago, and I don't remember exactly how I put this thing together. And I've been modifying it ever since. So, it's a fancy problem from some of their homework, and it's probably the most confusing homework they have in the course. And so I help them out with this and show them how it's done. And once again, you've got the FX function for, in this case, net present value. And over here is the internal rate of return. How many of you taken finance course? Ah, okay. Did you love it or hate it?
I liked it.
Yeah, either you love it or hate it. So a lot of students dread taking it. I try to make it fun. So this is part of making it fun, showing them how this works and stuff. And I said, I don't expect your homework to look beautiful like this. It took me a long time to put this together. So even the instructor resources don't look this beautiful. And so they understand what I'm talking about. But you can use Excel for many, many things. There are many things where you bounce around on the internet. For instance, I've got up here on the, let's just go to it, calculators, specialized calculators. Now this is a scientific. If you're in Windows 7, I think you can access a calculator. I don't know if you can access a scientific. You can in Windows 8. That's what I use. I would use Windows 8, and I can. But I prefer this to the one that's in Windows 8. There are lots of ways to get to calculators. How many of you use a specialized calculator because of your discipline? You can find it real easy. Okay, yeah, you can find it. And then they have the interactive stuff, and I'll show you what I use for interactive for whatever your discipline is. But I can enter. Let's do let's just as an example, do the present value interest factor. So that is if I can remember how I did it. So it's at 6% interest for 5 years, right? That's what we did in that previous example. So I'm entering this, and raise it to a power. There's a friendly little caret. Okay, 5 years, and put an equal to it. And there it is, and okay, now I want to flip it, and there's my present value interest factor. And so, very simple. And they'll see, a lot of the students don't even know the keystrokes. I used to write on the board, and I would do something like, I'd do like this, and I'd say, do this, and then for the y to the x key, and sometimes it's x to the y, it depends on the calculator. I'll say there's your key, and there's your key, and and on and on. I don't have to do that anymore. I just go here, and they follow along with their calculators or on their laptops, and it works out really nicely. And the thing is, it's tactile. It's simple as can be, but they're doing it, and so they're not doing this, or trying to take notes and dropping off as they're taking notes. So I've actually looked at my notes from college when I was falling asleep, and the pen started, drifting. Anybody experience this or seen students doing this? You've got life's hard enough as it is. You got plenty to do. So you come in the classroom, and your energy level is not at its highest. So I feed my students. They come to class at 6 p.m. They've been driving in Houston traffic, and they've been working all day, and they've gotten up at 4:35 in the morning to commute to work or shuttle the kids or whatever. My average age in college class is 30 to 35, so right in there. I've had some older. It's been a long time since any have been older than I am, but but I've had some older. Some of them look pretty old, but at any rate, so these are ways to get around that. So now there are other things that you can teach the students how to do things, and so I'll get into that by going into here again. But I want to go up to the top. Now, how many of you have used, let's say, the Margaret Estes Library online? Or yeah, there you go. And you look for peer-reviewed articles and that sort of thing. So you can show the students this, and some of them may do it. I always tell them, use peer-reviewed articles. Don't use the internet necessarily, because you don't have guarantee that that's just because it's online doesn't mean it's academic information. And so you can do this, and you can go right to resources and click on a resource box, and there it is. And so you click on that. And how many of you have done this? You've done this. So you know where I'm going with this. And there's research databases and on and on. I use EBSCOhost. Any of you use something else? Something different? What's that? Oh yeah. There you go. So your technical area. I go to EBSCOhost to find my technical area, so business, and on and on. Of course, you have to log in. I'll make this quick because you see where I'm going with this. So anyway, I click on this. But yeah, whatever your area is, you find it and go with it. So this is already checked, academic search, and then I go down to business source. So if you see it, holler, because sometimes you see it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm getting a crick in my neck trying to get to it. There we go. And then continue. And I actually have gone through this where you enter something like I entered for my sample. I entered risk-free rate and the capital asset pricing model. So there it is. Yeah. It helps to spell properly, doesn't it? Anyway, I won't jump into it, but because it's already messed up, so I don't make the trouble of changing it, because you see what I'm talking about. But if you get down here and check this one, scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and I generally check, apply-related words and all search within all the text of the article, and put a reasonable date, not a huge one. If you put too huge, then you're going to get thousands of articles. The one I did in the sample that's in this hard copy and that will be made available to you if you want to get it electronically, I ended up with like 250 or 60 articles. The very first one was one of the very best that I've read, and it was from a little bitty country, Bulgaria, and they were using the United States U.S. Treasury bills for risk-free rate and talking about stuff that's found in American finance textbooks. And I thought, wow. And this guy was the University of Bulgaria. I thought, wow, in Sofia. I thought, wow, isn't that something? So it has some relevance worldwide. And so I thought, wow, I'm confirmed. My discipline is confirmed. Maybe yours is too. So that's the point I was making with this, is that you can use this. You can show the students how to do it. And I think they get excited. They're on their laptops. You know, hopefully, how many of you have students that bring laptops to class? Very many. And some of you. And so if they do, so much the better. They're doing it with you. The thing is to get them doing it with you. If you need to, let them come up here and coach them through. If you've got time, do you do labs? Anybody do labs in your class? I'll do homework labs in my classroom. But then again, I do a class that runs from 6 to 10 p.m. at night. So we have a little time to do things like that. So, but maybe a lab every now and then if you have shorter classes during the daytime. So, since I don't work here, I don't know all those things. But an occasional lab where they get hands-on and they stay awake. The main thing is that they get engaged. Whatever you can do to get them engaged. And so that's why I avoid the PowerPoints in the classroom. I've gotten away from it. Is whatever I can do to get them doing it. See, I've got a gentleman here that's punching away. So, huh?
PowerPoint in the classroom.
There you go. So, okay. So let's see if I left anything out. Oh yes, the interactive use, interactive on the internet. So I can go there as an example. Let's go to Money MSN. The sample I used was from Investopedia, and whatever your discipline is, you're going to have these various things that go interactive. And so instead of using the one that I gave as an example in a hard copy, or what you'll be able to see if you access this lecture, I'll do an alternate one. It's from Money MSN, and I hope I can get it right. Let's see. There it is. Let's see if it takes me in. Yay! Yay! A roar from the crowd as we get it. All right, and now what makes it interactive? I'm picking on Procter & Gamble. I was picking on Procter & Gamble. Let's see. There it goes. So I can go in there and I could do a full page on this, and all of a sudden it's interactive. You pull it up. Well, pull it up too much. For some reason, I'm having trouble with the slider. There we go. And that's one day. But what if I were to make it 3 years or something, and it gets more relevant? There's year to date. There's 1 year. Let's try 1 year first. And you can see it had some seesaw ups and downs. And of course, you can see your points on here if you want to do technical analysis or something. But beyond that, let's go 5 year, or even, tell you what, even 10 year, because then it's going to show, guess what it's going to show if I do that? It's going to show the Great Recession of 2008 when everything dropped. Now, Procter & Gamble is, I don't know if you know about betas, but it does not move with the market exactly. It moves with the market, but not as drastically. So if the market goes up, it won't go up as much. If it drops, it's not going to go down as much. In general, that's how it works. Well, let's go max. This goes back to about 1970. You saw two huge seesaws. This one is the dot-com bubble. Remember the dot-com bubble around 2000, 1999, 2000 in there? There's that one, and then here's the Great Recession of 2008. And with other stocks that have high betas, which basically they move more drastically with the market than the market does, let's say a beta of 1.5, it's going to be 1.5 times the dip that the market took, the S&P 500. So it's going to be a huge dip here and here. So that's interactive, and they can see this and learn from it. And if they pull up the S&P 500 index instead of, let's say, Procter & Gamble, they're going to get that. So now all that said, it's from my discipline. But you can see where interactive goes, and there's lots of things you can do interactive. I've done, number theory. Anybody ever played with number theory or had to, required to? Sometimes the systems people take number theory, so I've played with those where they have interactive cues and things that you can use online, which are great. So all that said, and I told you it was simple and brief. Coursesmart. Does anybody use Coursesmart? A couple, yeah. I use that for alternate textbooks where I find something that reads better than what the student's textbook, and it's something to compare. And I'll use that, I'll pull it up. You can actually print better copies from that than if you put the book in the Xerox machine or a photocopier and ran it. So I'll print from it from time to time. You have that privilege. LeTourneau has a relationship with Coursesmart, which basically contracts many publishers, and so virtually any textbook you want you can get, and you can get them outside your discipline too. I like math, so I get a lot of esoteric math textbooks and things. Not that I understand it all, but I just enjoy looking at it. I understand some of it, but it's very sometimes it can be challenging. But you can do the same thing, and the alternates. Let's just go back to, you can access it and show the students. In the classroom, you can pull it up and say, oh, that calls for, sorry, go back. There we go. They say, that calls for us going into Coursesmart. So I go to the home page. I get out of this current course and go to home page. Now, there's other ways to get into Coursesmart, but generally, since I'm already in there, and I can backspace into all my courses. Every instructor has this. You have that availability. If you don't see this, then you can get with the person who basically handles this. And you pull up Coursesmart. It's real easy to get into. You just click down here on the URL for Introduction to Instructors, and then go to My Bookshelf, and it asks you to sign in. And bingo, you sign in. And I promise, this only takes just a minute. If I can type correctly. That was my fault. It's probably need to have a okay, here we go. And so here's my bookshelf, and you can search everything they've got. You can search your own. I don't have to. I don't have that many. I've got probably maybe 20 books, so I don't have to. I just scroll down to it. But here's, this is another finance course I teach. And so I teach one course I currently teach doesn't use this textbook, but I like this textbook, and it has some things that the students can use. So I just go to the page I need, and bingo, there it is. So there you type the page number. And as I said, you can actually print out pages from it. It'll let you do it. Yes, ma'am.
Concerning that, what about then copyrights? Is that protected?
You have to agree, make an agreement through the school that you're not going to violate the stipulations of our contract with Coursesmart. Yes, and that's so you can't just go around publishing from it or make a manual out of the book or. For the classroom, if you make a limited number of copies for the classroom, yeah, and they limit how much you can copy from the text. So that, and of course, if you use it.
If you want to copy from a certain book, you need to request something from the university, or this is automatically.
It'll let you do it. It'll just let you do it. Yep, there's a print button. So, yep. So yeah, there it is right there. So. And I've done it seldom. I seldom do it, but sometimes I'll just pull it up in class, or I'll print it out ahead of time and pass it out. This one page is more relevant for you and what you're trying to figure out. So it works very nicely. And like I say, I read my own textbooks that I don't teach because it's semi-related topic. Math is one of them. And so I'll read those and scratch my head over some of the difficult math that I'm looking at. So it's fun. But that pretty much concludes what I had to say, that the more interactive you make it with the students, the more they engage them. If you do labs, which I do for my classes, they get engaged in it. And I've had them actually come up to the computer if they didn't have a laptop and say, here, you do it. They're doing it. Why don't you do it? And I show them, I coach them as they're doing it so they don't go too far afield and get into what they're not supposed to. But generally, it works very well, and the students stay awake. So I hope I've kept you awake today.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Any questions? You've asked some pretty good questions already, so. All right. Thanks so much. All right. These are available if you want.